Now, a Hutch's weather update with Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson, brought to you by Robert Gibb and Sons.
All right, and good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Hutch Johnson with a quick update. We're going to talk about the forecast first, so you can get out the door with what you need to know. Radar is still very quiet here in the FM area. We do have an update to watches, warnings, and advisories across the region, and the latest on the track. Not much has changed since last night, but I do have an update on what you can expect in Fargo, up in Roseau, out in Lakes Country, and beyond, as far as snow continues, as it continues across the region. Thanks to you, and thanks to my sponsors at Robert Gibb and Sons for your support. Let's get started. Here is a look first and foremost at the forecast. We're going to start with a look at the snowfall forecast, and let's go right to the details on that. Here we go. I do want to point out that the snow forecast, well, it's shifted south. This model here, by the way, showing the heavier band of snow working its way essentially from central South Dakota up into the Sisseton Hills and through the southern reaches of Lakes Country. Otter Tail County, the eastern ranges of your county, eastern Becker, will be where the ramping up of snowfall totals increases. Notice that does sneak up into, well, Beltrami and Lake of the Woods counties as well. We're not talking about huge additional snowfall amounts in this area, including Fargo. So Fargo's sitting around 1 inch to 2 inches, 1 inch in Grand Forks, and we'll see that ramping up to closer to 2 or 3 inches by the time we get into War Road. But Roseau, Greenbush, Badger, not quite as much on the western and central parts of Roseau County. That's where the rapid change in snowfall is. Where it really ramps up, though, is as we look at areas in and around Fergus Falls. So Fergus Falls and off to the east towards Battle Lake, there's going to be some increased snow potential. So Fergus Falls, you're still in the mix here, as is Wadena County. And look at Bemidji there with 3 to 5 inches of snow potentially, and on up into the International Falls area. Now, that is a look at the Twin Cities, central Minnesota, as well as portions of central South Dakota, as the wind and snow are set to return. I have a summary graphic here for you, but let me see if I can locate that for you. Here is a look at our temperatures as we go through the afternoon. We will have winds shifting direction, east-northeasterly, gusting over 40 miles per hour in open country, particularly in North Dakota and the Red River Valley. And then in the treed country of Minnesota, it will likely be refined to more 30 to 35 mile per hour gusts. Ryan, good to see you. Don, thank you. Here's a look at Carl saying nothing in Detroit Lakes, and Heath says, morning, Hutch. Glad I decided to stay off the road till this is over. Not a bad deal. You know, there are some spots where the impacts are still there, but not definitely the type of impacts that we expected. And I say we, as many meteorologists forecast models. Now, here is a look at the afternoon forecast. As we take a look at the planning forecast, we see temperatures dropping off. Now, we won't get as cold in Fargo or Grand Forks, Jamestown, or Valley City as we look into Wednesday and Thursday, but our counties to the east will have a chance at being on the chilly side Wednesday and Thursday morning as this storm exits. Speaking of which, the exit of the storm will mainly happen by very late tonight into Tuesday morning. It exits out into eastern Minnesota and northeast Minnesota. So we'll still see clouds and impacts in our central and eastern counties into Tuesday. Out west, it should be increasingly sunny. That's a look at that part of the forecast. I'll show you the models coming up here right now, but let's take a look at this update now as we head into the evening on the latest radar and roads. So let's start with roads. So if you are thinking about heading out, what is the situation? There were no travel advisories last night. Those have now been dropped, and we have a travel alert in the purple counties that you see here in North Dakota. That's only southeast North Dakota. We do have icy roads anywhere you see yellow on the map, which includes all of the western one half of North Dakota in yellow roads. The yellow roads extend to all of southeastern North Dakota, all the way up to north of Hillsboro at the Buxton Exchange, and then improved roads or better roads showing up in and around the Grand Forks region. Taking a look at the roads out in the Buxton area, here's a look at the latest. There's some certainly icy roads with some blowing snow and reduced visibility. And the radar is showing snow up in this area, and the snow looks to be, well, fairly modest. list as far as how heavy it's falling. It could be heavy in spots, in other words. And I'll look at this. We do see the Binford area with some just hazy skies. The farther west we get, by the way, Jamestown, Stutzman County, the visibility's improved. Snowfall in and around Bismarck was a little over 3 inches total from the storm system. As we take a look out there, you can see that even the sky conditions are beginning to clear up based on the camera from the, well, state capital. Now, as we look into Richland County, this is where we're expecting some of the worst of the conditions to take place yet. Here's Morton, and we do have snow blowing across the interstate surface there on, this is Highway 13. So we're seeing some snow blowing across Highway 13. But as we look in at the border, again, we have a little bit more in the way of snow on the roads there. Icy conditions. There has been some freezing mist and drizzle reported across the region as well. So pretty icy conditions across North Dakota. Quick look at Minnesota roads, and we see some similar characteristics, particularly from eastern South Dakota right up into the Twin Cities and points north. Now, this is showing that we do have quiet conditions up near Grand Forks, Thief River Falls, and Crookston. Let's check out the Ada area. This is a look at Highway 200 at Halstead, and we can see here that there is snow falling, and that's showing up on the radar, which I'll show you here momentarily. Down to the south, Fergus Falls, Pelican Rapids. This is a look at I-94 at Rothsay in that area. And the roads definitely are not completely covered, but we do have some icy roads reported. The crashes have reduced in the morning hours. That's a very good sign. Here's a look down south. I do know that many schools and districts across Minnesota did close, and there's more to come from Minnesota, even though the radar and the conditions right now are showing that there's a little bit of a lull. Here's Highway 12 out at Holloway. You can see completely covered with reduced visibility from the wind and the snow taking place there. Now, if you're on Interstate 94 traveling, let's check out that. Here's Fergus Falls on I-94. We certainly see wintry conditions there. Go down the road a piece and let's get in towards Alexandria. We'll take a picture there. Oh, looking at that, we definitely have snow. We have completely covered roads, and the interstate has a couple of lanes with some plowing done, but it's definitely slippery and slidey. Sauk Center, we look there. We have some drifts. There is a patrol officer watching conditions there that have deteriorated. We do have a number of crashes reported near the Albany area, and this is a look at what's showing up at the rest stop. You can see the interstate at the very distance of the shot there as well. And now when we get into St. Joseph's and approaching the Twin Cities, the number of crashes starts to really increase in that area. That's a look at I-94 as we go through. A quick peek now at South Dakota. South Dakota is going to be a portion of the big winter, as is central Minnesota, with how much snow we should be seeing. Thanks, Jen, for watching. Sue, good to have you on from Lakes Country. Snowing again, the wind picking up. Don says, I thought you meant summery, not summery. Oh, you know, I sometimes can't spell my words when I speak them, so it gets a little difficulter when we're talking about that. All right, now, the radar is showing a quiet down in parts of South Dakota right now as well, but let me show you what's going on in Sisseton. Here is a look at some snow and blustery conditions, reduced visibility. You can kind of see the fog, if you will, in the atmosphere, the low clouds and the snow-created reduced visibility out there. That's I-29 at Sisseton. Get down to Watertown, and it's more of the same. The wind-swept snow creating an ice skating rink over I-29. Roads are not closed in South Dakota. The road conditions are poor where you see the pink outlined in blue. We do have some frosty, slippery, and icy roads reported. Going down farther south, we continue to see struggles on the Interstate 90 corridor as we go through Chamberlain and on in toward Rapid City that had some heavier bands of snow out west of them. Here's a look at Rapid City. Remember, we saw sunshine out in western parts near North Dakota, but the Black Hills still seeing snow, snow fog, reduced visibility. All right, without further ado, let me take you to the radar, and then I'll show you the model. I've already shown you one of the forecast trends. Now let's show you the radar. Again, this is a look at the warnings. We'll update you with that. We'll update you with the band of snow. Now you saw the snow that was falling at Hillsboro, at Ada, and the Halstead areas up north. This stretches up into Thief River Falls. All day yesterday, this band showed up, but there wasn't a lot reaching the ground. It has stayed there. It's been persistent in this area. Not a lot of heavy snow, but certainly some snow coating the road surfaces. This showing up between Thief River, Red Lake Falls, Crookston, not far from Fertile, up towards the Thompson area in Hillsboro on I-29. We do not have an abundant amount of cameras or DOT cams in this area, but from reports that I've seen so far, the snowfall amounts are not impressive there. That's just a band of nuisance snow. And that is why this area is covered with blue outlined counties, and the blue outlined counties here including Grand Forks, Nelson County not in it, Walsh County not in it. We do see in Minnesota, Marshall County, Roseau, and Kitson counties are in the winter weather advisory. The difference between a winter weather advisory and a warning is that an advisory is less life-threatening. In fact, it's not expected to be life-threatening, with some caution on passengers and, drivers' parts and all of us out there. So lighter snow amounts in these areas that are surrounded by blue. This includes Jamestown and now Valley City. Valley City has been removed from the warned group of counties. You are in the winter weather advisory. Now, for the warned counties, this is where we have the greatest risk at seeing some impactful snow and winds, creating winter storm conditions throughout the day. Notice Fargo is in it. Notice Grand Forks not in it. We do have areas east of Fargo on Highway 10 in it. Bemidji is in it. Bagley is in it. Look at that little quadrant there. As we look into the Monoman area, you are in the warned area. And as we go north, it does include Beltrami County, Lake of the Woods County. To the south, all of southeastern North Dakota is included in it, with the exception of Dickey and Lemoore County. A little nuisance snow showing up on the radar out near Jamestown, and not much. So where is it? Where's the storm system? Look at the heavy rain moving into Minneapolis. We've been talking, and the models have really done a good job in this area, showing that we'd start with snow and heavy snow, and then lifting north will be the snow, and it'll be replaced by rain and slush. It's pretty ridiculous travel conditions there. The blizzard warning in pink has been expanded. It does include areas near Huron, Chamberlain on the I-90 corridor, down to the west of Sioux Falls. So those areas all the way through South Dakota in a blizzard warning for this particular storm system. So let's take a look at this. This is the radar now. We see this secondary band of light snow taking place Grand Forks to Jamestown. The main event really hasn't blossomed yet as this batch of energy here, not lifting north, but the low pressure center is still way down here. So if I loop this over several frames, you may begin to see where the counterclockwise circulation is taking place. So as this loads, here we go. You've got this flow from the south here. So here is the moving of north winds and the north flow of moisture. And then you see the snow taking place out near North Platte, Kearney, Nebraska, and Sioux Falls. That's coming down from the south. So we got this pushing north on this side and then coming back down south. The low pressure center is not far from the Sioux City and Omaha areas. It's moving northward. As it does, these heavier rain bands that we see here will become snow in the cooler air. So we will get heavier bands of snow beginning to push up the I-94 corridor, the I-29 corridor, and how far back to the west will that heavy band of snow reach is the question. And more importantly, when does it begin and return for us? Fergus Falls, good to have you on board. Mary, Jackie, is there school on in Fargo? Well, if you didn't hear from your school district, chances are it is on. I know Moorhead is school wasn't delayed to the best of my knowledge, but I'm going to refer you to other sources of information for school cancellations and closings for this morning. Hopefully your school does the same as it does for me and my kids, and that is I get a notification right on my phone, and I know when my school has closed. However, that said, let's look at the forecast. Now, I did show you the snowfall forecast already. It's not impressive for Fargo. Okay, it's not impressive. I'm going to lead off with this information here, and this is more of a tabular format of snowfall expected by Hutch. So here you go. It doesn't include all cities. It includes some of our primary cities. Here's what I'm thinking as far as snowfall potential. Look at this. Fargo, an additional 1/2 inch to 2 inches on top of the 3 that we've gotten in South Moorhead already. That's it for today the way it looks. Now, there could be a little bit more than this, particularly as you go south and east of Fargo. It does look to increase. Grand Forks, you're going to get a trace to 1 inch or so continued there, but it does ramp up just off to the east of you. Keep that in mind. And to the south of you a little bit, it will ramp up. Devil's Lake to Jamestown, very little additional snow. okay, is expected there. And points west of there, very little to no snow. So Hutch has a big 0 there. Fergus Falls, I'm expecting 1 to 4 inches in your part of Otter Tail County. Otter Tail County, as you'll see graphically, the area where it ramps up. So the difference between Fergus Falls, for instance, and Battle Lake could be significant. So Fergus Falls may be closer to 1 to 2. As you get closer to Battle Lake and points east, it will be 4 plus potentially, the way it's looking now with the line of heavier snow. Look at the difference between Fergus Falls and a little bit farther out to the east and just north in Wadena to Alexandria, and 3 to 8 inches. That's where the ramp is, where we're really going to see that more intense band of snow setting up. That's additional on top of what has been reported in this area. Pardon me. So, as we look at the event taking place, we look up North Roseau. I mentioned Western Roseau County, Central Roseau County, not as much as out to the east. So I've got a wide range here. In, let's say, Greenbush, Badger, closer to 1 inch. But as we get out towards Warroad and Badette, we're going to be closer to 3 to 5 inches of snow. Bemidji, same thing, a little bit more for you. Closer to the 3 to 5 inches of snow. Detroit Lakes. I have 1 to 3 for Detroit Lakes, but you get into eastern Becker County just east of you. As you go towards Wadena, as you saw up higher, they're on the 3 to 8 inch range. So as you go into the eastern reaches of Becker County, I think there's going to be more snow there. Speaking of heading out into lakes country, you get into the Brainerd Lakes area, and that's where that 1 foot of snow is going to be possible. And I want you to keep in mind, I have had some reports in the Nisswa area of already 7 to 8 inches of snow. So some portions of central Minnesota already have 7 to 8 inches of snow. Another 5 to 12 will be possible as we go through the afternoon. So keep that in mind. That's what's going on here. Now let me look at your questions. 3 inches in Frazee. Thank you for your reports. I do pass these on to the Weather Service. I'll write this down. Frazee is 3 inches. I do appreciate your reports. If you stick a ruler out there and get a good measurement, that's very helpful. I appreciate you letting me know. Maybe throw on if it's snowing as well. Thanks, Ryan, for your support of stars. Here's a look then at the hour-by-hour model. Let's take a look at that now. And we're going to take a look. Realistically, I don't think any of these models have done a fantastic job with this storm system in the Fargo area. Okay, so that's just the nature of this beast. It hasn't really shown up very good. Now, this particular model looks like it's starting out fantastic because this is pretty similar to what the radar looks like. I just don't like this model, and it hasn't done very well. This particular high-resolution model is showing that it's bringing the snow back up, and it kisses Fargo, and look how it includes Fargo all the way out towards the Valley City area, even up into parts of Polk County there near Fertile Beltrami. And then as we continue through the day, it continues to snow light to moderate in Fargo with heavier snow showers taking place in Lakes Country, particularly eastern Otter Tail and eastern Becker. So that's not too bad with what's supposed to be forecast. And then as we carry it out a little bit farther, look what happens into Tuesday morning. This is Tuesday pre-dawn. Snow becomes ice and then becomes very heavy as the low moves through. This, for central Minnesota, did start on Sunday. There was a little light snow Saturday. Started on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and this is Tuesday. So there's a 3-day event in portions of the region as advertised, and it's come in different waves, and there's been breaks in between. But what we can say is that there's still more of this event that's going to take place. South Dakota and Minnesota will have the best chance. Here's the European model. Again, this is a large-scale global model, so it tends to kind of increase the aerial coverage and increase the expansion of the storm. But what we're seeing with this European model that really is probably going to be more realistic to what we see is that there's a sharp cutoff at Fargo, and you get off to the east of Fargo, and it does show some snow returning. It has it returning at 6 a.m. here. I see flurries at best. So nothing really big. And it just keeps it out of Fargo till we get into the evening hours tonight, 10 o'clock, and that's it. So this European model says not much for Fargo. So I've got Fargo in the 1/2 inch to 2 inch category, as we just talked about, leaning a little bit closer to the European model. And I'll show you a look at the Canadian model here because, you know, the last storm system, this one did quite well with the forecast snow. This is going back into, let me take a look here if we've got a newer model. Okay, this is going to be the newest one that I may have access to. Yes. There are new models coming in right now, but at this point in time, it's only going to help central Minnesota and eastern Minnesota and South Dakota. Here we go. Canadian model says snowfall, if it makes it up, will likely get in here as we get into the mid-afternoon or afternoon hours. Southeast North Dakota will get it first. These areas are in the warned area. Fargo, questionable, but it's close. We're right on the edge. As we go east and south of Fargo, though, there's more certainty that the snowfall is going to be heavier and it's going to be more long-lived. Wind will not be as strong north on this model. There are some tight isobars here in the southern valley of southeast North Dakota and Sisseton Hills. Out into Minnesota where the trees will slow it down a little bit, but we will still have some very wintry impacts. Notice most of the impacts lift up into North Dakota. Your time frame up there is this evening, Monday evening at about 8 o'clock at night. And the snow does continue and it's not over yet. Here's the low. The storm is just now arriving on the Minnesota-Iowa border right by Hutch's shoulder, and there it blossoms. Do you see that heavy, heavy band of snow? You are right on the edge of this snow, by the way, in eastern reaches of Otter Tail County, Becker County. And this is basically in the wee hours of the morning on Tuesday. And it continues to be extremely heavy as you go out to areas like, say, Grand Rapids, Walker, just near you folks in Bemidji. Do you see that explosion of snow potential there? So this snow system is not done yet. South of Fargo and east of Fargo have the best chance at seeing impactful snow. This model, I'm not going to confuse you with too many of the snowfall totals, but I do want to show you with where the potential is as we go through the next 24 hours or so and into Tuesday. And this snowfall here does show over 15 inches of additional snow in the Brainerd Lakes area up into that Grand Rapids area, Walker area. Look at the Babe the Blue Ox land. Some of our viewing area, south and east of Fargo, shows 3 inches. That might be a little bit overdone. We can probably shift this just south and east a pinch, the way I'm feeling now, the way my gut feels. So, again, the Sisseton Hills, northeast South Dakota, and extreme southeast North Dakota, and northeast South Dakota, here at the border. Heavier snow in and around the Sisseton Hills, through Lake Traverse, Morris, Benson, the I-94 corridor through Alexandria to St. Cloud and moving northward. That is the bullseye the way it looks right now with regards to the snow. We're still expecting more snow. So long and short of it, that is what we have right now. Thank you very much for your support through this event. It's been a tough forecast. It remains to be a tough forecast, but it does look like the models have been fairly consistent in their guidance showing where the heavier snow bands will be. Fargo is sat right smack dab on the edge of that, so I appreciate your patience. And yes, many of us can get around okay. Road conditions are improving across western North Dakota as well. They are icy. In Minnesota, do not get caught, particularly once you get out of the Red River Valley counties into Lakes Country, eastern Otter Tail, eastern Becker. That looks to be the bullseye of the event. And yes, the conditions could be quite terrible as we go from late today. So we're talking midday at the earliest before the snow returns to Fargo. It'll be a little earlier down here in southeast North Dakota and Minnesota. I hope that helps. Thank you so very much. I will have updates as we get in a little bit later. I don't expect a return of a heavy band of snow to our area. One more look at that radar. It is showing that we do have some snow taking place not too far from you folks in the Grand Forks area. So as we pop up the Grand Forks radar here, let me hold this down so you can get the timeline back on here. And you can certainly see in Grand Forks, we have this band of snow that looks enhanced south of Findlay, Hillsboro, Mayville, south of you, and between Fargo and Grand Forks, spreading in towards Red Lake Falls. That heavier band is likely producing some snow. Snowing hard in Park Rapids with hard winds, says Sherry. Thanks for your report. So look at Park Rapids on this radar right now, and look at how boring it looks. You see this? That doesn't look like hard or heavy snow right now. That's because, well, the radar from Mayville is overshooting the top of that cloud. I can also look at the radar in Duluth and see what it is seeing for Park Rapids. And we also see, very little snow in Park Rapids. Well, the farther we get away from the radar site, the beam tends to shoot higher than the snowflakes are in the clouds, so we miss them. And the radar is showing us what it's seeing above the ground. That's not a guarantee of what's reaching the ground, and that's been one of the themes from this particular system as it works its way through. Aberdeen radar here, let's take a look at that as we pop into the central part of the Sisseton Hills, and there is a little bit of a band showing up south of Jamestown. So if you are in Ellendale, if you are in Lemoore, Cullum, those areas may have a chance at seeing a little band of light snow taking place now, and there's a sharp cutoff to very quiet conditions to the west of that. Bismarck's radar, extremely quiet now, and we even saw what looked like some rays of sun out west of Bismarck trying to peek through the clouds. That's a look at what's going on right now. Again, I'll be back with updates. Snowing in Dent, 34 degrees and windy. Gwen, thank you for your report as well. Again, Frazee reporting 3 inches. I did hear in the Nisswa area of the Brainerd Lakes area, 7 to 8 inches. I saw the snowfall measurement. Thank you for sharing all your reports with me. 7 to 8 inches on the ground already. And you saw the forecast here. I'll put up the graphical forecast one more time. The forecast is going to be most abundant in snowfall as we get into lakes country, particularly just east of Fergus Falls, particularly just east of Detroit Lakes. Those areas I'm expecting about 1 to 4 inches of snow, but you go into eastern Becker, eastern Otter Tail towards Wadena, and you can see the jump. 3 to 8 inches of snow, and a little bit farther east of Wadena than that is where we start rocking into the 5 to 12 inch snow band that will be heavier and impactful, and it will really begin impacting the area as we head into the afternoon and evening tonight. So it's going to be a little while. Enjoy the lull. Here in Fargo, I do not anticipate huge impacts from snowfall. I expect that to be to our east and to our south. Sherry, thank you for your stars. Thank you for your reports. Thanks for tuning in. Pass along the good word to your friends. Hutch has the weather here, and I appreciate you all